back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy where we're like, oh no, what am I doing? Hold on. I did it again. I've been botching the intros to the to the show like every episode because I'm multitasking and I just sent out the tweet. Anyways, we're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today we're focused on Star Trek Discovery and season 4, episode 5, the examples, and we three are the examples of fine, young, happy Trekkies. Or
Optimistic, always,
Optimistic.
never any criticism.
Indeed,
Just
indeed. Audience, we're so sorry we're running a little late. I just got out of Spider-Man and I ran home. I didn't even change. I'm wearing my Picard, so I'm wearing like a Star Trek relevant shirt, but this is Star Wars up here. I don't have any Spider-Man swag, which is embarrassing. Anyways,
it's
no
probably for
spoil.
the best. There's enough other twinks out there wearing Spider-Man costumes to that premiere that I feel like it's probably a
There
good thing.
was a really cute guy wearing just he had his cargo shorts on and then the Spider-Man tights underneath, and I was like, ah, dude, well done.
Yep.
And I forget Spider-Man's a twink. Is Tom Holland a twunk? We can't talk about this right now. We'll talk about this later. But that's just a
Yes.
question of okay, good. All right. And we have PJ in the audience who says, best episode of the season. Anyhow, have fun discussing it. Thank you so much. Let the cacophonous. Wait, I know how to say this.
Chitinous chittering
No,
commence. Oh,
Caithness. No, what? Ah,
Kit-
I got sent the pronunciation earlier, but whatever it is. Chitanus. Ah, I can't say it. Chittering commence. Thank you.
chronotons. I don't know.
How are you gentlemen doing? I'm joined by lovely Matt and lovely Marcelo, the two M's. You guys are my M&Ms tonight.
Yeah, we're the M&M boys.
Starfleet Boy and the M&Ms. That's
I
like
feel like
my
I'm the one with the peanut inside, but the dumb one, yeah, that's
Oh,
you can
not
be
at
the
all.
little red one. I'm the tall. Yeah.
I like the I love the peanut M&Ms, and I love them when I get all yellow ones for some reason. It's very satisfying. I don't know.
I hate the
Never
yellow
had
ones.
a
I take
yellow.
those out.
Great. You
They
can
all
just take
taste the same.
take them out
Yeah,
and fill up a
I know,
bowl, and then
yeah,
we'll
I
have
know, but there's something about the color yellow that I just look at them and I go, no, no.
it. Well,
Fair.
as usual, we're here to talk about Star Trek Discovery. Matt, why don't you tell us what you thought first?
All right, I might not be here the whole time, so I'm just gonna go top level down.
Go.
B plot was great.
What was the B
I
plot in
actually
this one?
to me the B plot, even though it was kind of switched, to me the secondary, flavor of the week of them evacuating, that was fun. We got to see Michael Burnham be, captain that still went down to the surface, but she was ordered to by the president, so okay, you know. Or no, not the president. I'm sorry, Admiral Vance told her that she would be the one leading the evacuation. So okay,
Actually,
I can
she told.
accept that.
Actually, I thought you would have known. She told Admiral Vance that she would be leading the thing, and he paused. There was like a moment of awkwardness between
Yeah.
them, and I was like, "Oh, Matt's gonna be totally like, look, she's doing it again."
I know what you're saying, but he did then say if she's leading, then
Yeah.
Saru's in charge of the ship.
Yeah,
So
yeah, he did. Yeah.
at least I'm just almost so used to Michael Burnham doing that I'm like, all right, she's gonna Kirk it through, let her Kirk it through. But my
Which-
only thing,
Can I? Oh, sorry. I just
yeah.
have one little thing. Technically, Kirk is Burnhaming it through because she came before Kirk. Sorry, all right, go. Sorry. Just saying.
where is that? What happened to Stamets where he had that thing put on and his mind wiped? Because I could use that right now.
Okay, sorry.
I thought that was great. I loved seeing them evacuate. I wasn't quite sure why it took 7 Starfleet ships 4 hours to beam 1,200 people up, because the Enterprise D used to be able to beam up like 300 people a minute.
Oh, is that right?
In like an emergency,
Oh, wow.
yeah, in an emergency
That's
setting, they
awesome.
could fit 15,000 people on the ship, and they could beam up 300 people per minute.
That
So
would
I was
be
a little like,
that would be 100% a plot. You found a plot convenience there. Because what was the limit?
well-
Like 40 at a time or something?
Yeah, they said that the relay could only handle 40 at a time. Okay, fine.
Right.
So that was a little weird. But my biggest thing, that was all great. I don't like that they made the anomaly some big bad. I thought it was cute that they mentioned all the old, massive Kardashev type 3 civilizations.
Yeah, that was cool.
The Mintakans, the Q Continuum,
The Metrons, yeah.
the
And the
Metrons, yeah.
And the Q we haven't heard from in 600
600
years.
Paul and I were talking about that, and I'm excited. But he did point out Star Trek Picard takes place 700 years. So they did give themselves a 100-year buffer.
They did. It's true.
Mixed feelings. I'm ambivalent. I'm sorry to say Michael Burnham had a really great chance to show the growth that she's made as a captain and all this, and I don't want to sound cliche. I promise anyone watching, I promise I'm not one of those anti-Michael Burnham
It's sad
fanboys.
that you have to do that, but yes, go ahead.
But she did. I'm sorry. I was so excited that she's been the captain. She's been in charge. She's been in control. She's been doing it. She's been leading by example, and then she had to sacrifice one guy that was a convicted murderer. Fine, they didn't know. Whatever, we can debate that later. And she cried. She cried at the end. I'm sorry, she did. She's sitting there and she choked up. I
did too.
I was like, don't. This is the perfect time for you to be like, you know what? I get it. I understand and grow from it. But she just went back, and then so to me, this episode was a misstep.
You don't like the crying. Toddy doesn't like the crying
Didn't.
either. A lot of people don't like the crying.
I didn't. She cried. And I'm good. I understand. She used to be a first officer. She went through a lot. I understand the trauma thing, but this wasn't even trauma. This was just her being overly emotional about having to leave someone behind. And you have to make tough decisions like that as a captain.
Do you think she was remembering? Do you think she was remembering Arium and it was too much for her? She was like overwhelmed that she had to do it before with Arium.
If that's what it was, they did not set it up.
No, way. I know. That was just me asking it. That's just me asking it.
And all of a
that just popped in my head.
Is like this. I like that, but all of a sudden, Book is now like, I can't let anyone die. How many people has he killed?
No, but he's like, this is post Quajon though, don't you think? He's like, and it's not like
okay. It just seemed weird.
Also, Felix.
The whole
we'll talk about it further, but that's cool that you liked it mostly. It sounds like yeah.
This is one of those ones where I'm gonna put it in the solid gray area.
Oh, gotcha.
Until I know what comes. If this builds on something that I love, great. If there's no payoff to this, then I didn't.
I think there's going to be payoffs because I feel like this.
I'm hoping.
I feel like this season is doing a pretty. I feel like it's doing a pretty good job of not just paying off things that they've been setting up so far, but also things that they set up way long ago. So we'll see. Marcella, what'd you think? And I promise I'll try not to interrupt. I get so excited to talk to you guys. I'm sorry. Go, Marcella.
I really like this episode a lot. Particularly because, say it with me, they actually gave Lieutenant Price something to do. Granted, they gave him something to do and they didn't show him working the evacuation, but they still get points for giving him something to do because in the 4 years, they really gave him nothing to do. And they gave him a little bit of backstory. So I was like, what's this? Backstory for our bridge crew? I'm like, holy shit! What is this?
Okay, this is my.
His backstory is that he got a hurricane hit on his town. That's all we found out, though.
I promise I will not say anything else.
No, go say it.
It felt so shoehorned in and fake. It felt like, look, here is a bridge officer. Here is a piece of backstory. Wipe away. Here you go. There you go. It makes no difference. Nothing came of it. Nothing was led up to that. We had no idea that he was wiped out with a hurricane. Where was a hurricane? Was this on Earth? Because weren't there weather control devices on Earth to prevent?
It couldn't be Earth, right?
Anyway, so that's my only. That felt. I loved it. Reese, I love him more than anything. He is one of my. Anyway, I'm sorry. That was
but it did feel a little too like we. It did feel I did have the thought that like, oh, I wish we'd gotten this more of this like earlier.
Any
like,
build up or to tie in to
Yeah,
something
to
we
tie
already
into-
knew. And
but
this
it
was
is
a
the start-
culminating thing that he now wants to.
But it is the start of something, so hopefully we'll see more of this in season 4 and finally get like that. What else, Marcelo?
And the other thing that I really, really enjoyed was seeing Kober struggle with his post-traumatic stress about his place on the ship, whether he wants to be a doctor, whether he wants to be a psychiatrist, and really show that he has really been affected by his life experiences. And the fact that Cronenberg, I say Cronenberg because I can't remember the character's name.
David
The fact
Cronenberg's
that-
character is Kovic.
Yeah,
Kovic.
Yeah. The fact that Kovic made him realize that he cannot be 100% on all the time for everyone, that he needs to take a step back
What are you
and
talking
take-
about? We could totally. No, I'm just kidding.
and and take a moment for himself was just really, really wonderful. I thought that Wilson Cruz acted his ass off in this episode. I thought every scene that he was in was just wonderful. The last thing that I really loved about this episode, in contrast to you, Matt, I love that Michael Burnham, after hearing the confession from the prisoner, I love the fact that she sided with his decision to let him die on the planet. Because Michael Burnham of old wouldn't have listened to that guy one bit. She would have let him say what she would have let him say what he wanted to say, but
Knocked him on
then
the
she
head.
would have grabbed him. So I
Mhm.
love that bit of growth by Michael Burnham where she goes, I understand your point and I'm going to let you die.
Mhm.
The fact that she cried at the end, granted, I've only seen this episode once, I didn't pick up on her tears, but to me, that just shows that Michael is an emotional person. It didn't bother me as much as it did you, Matt. To me, that played as, look, he is a convicted felon, but it does show that Michael does have some, emotions or vis-a-vis, so that didn't bother me as much. The last thing that I really liked about this episode is I love the fact that they gave the anomaly that they sort of said that somebody created this anomaly. And the second that they said that, I when the final scene was happening, when the final scene was going down between Book and the scientist guy, I was like, I'll bet you 100% that this guy programmed that anomaly, because the way that he was talking and the way that he was sort of leading Book into realizing stuff. And if you notice, before he stood up and walked away, the camera, the director, focused in on a particular part of it, or a particular part in the back of his neck. So I'm like, what the hell is that about? I mean, as a writer, this episode, his behavior was a little bit leading, but I think that they're doing that on purpose. I could be falling for a red herring.
The thing on the
But,
back of his head is the same thing that like
Oh, okay.
Rin was putting on the prisoners in the
Okay.
it's like,
It's
so
an
what it
emerald
does,
chain thing.
and
Oh,
it
an
what it does
emerald
is
chain thing? Okay.
it allows them to blow your head up, basically. Is what
Oh,
it
it's
is.
like, it's like in
yeah,
it's like in Running Man.
Oh yeah, or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then on top of that, he also had that other torture done to him that Stamets had done, where they took over his mind. So this guy's a very broken character. I'm glad you brought him up. I'll just say really quickly that like I know this sounds. I'm sorry. I'm like always the like, really hyperbolic sounding, but this is like I think one of the greatest episodes of Star Trek Discovery. Period. I put it up there with. What was the one with Pike where they go down to the planet where the angel had brought the church?
Hope and Fear.
No,
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 not
it's
Hope and Fear.
it's, New Eden.
New Eden.
New Eden. New Eden.
Yeah.
That's a great
And-
episode.
Sorry, I was just watching Hope and Fear.
And I loved the other one I really loved for Discovery, this other standout episodes. There's a lot that I love, but the other standout before this was Unification 3, which I really love as well. I know it's not one that everyone loves, but so this one too. And I think primarily, I was just really taken away. I love Les Mis. I'm like a huge fan of like Les Mis, both the musical and the actual story. And so when there's a whole Jean Valjean vibe, but like that he's in prison, like with this character. And so it was just like, and the fact that he was so noble, and like that he had truly repented and rehabilitated, but he was so like his guilt was so strong, and his like conviction that this was his penance, and it was just moving because I don't know, I'd be like, get me out of here, let's go Federation, like I would not be that character at all. What were you gonna say, Matt?
I was going to say, Marcelo actually brought up a good point that I fully took for granted, that you're absolutely right. Michael Burnham would have never let him sacrifice himself on that planet before. But to me, and I guess this genuinely and objectively is why Discovery doesn't sit as well with me. To me, that was what a Starfleet captain would do. Like, that's what Picard would do. That's what Janeway, they would say, this is another culture. This is his choice. This is, that's, they have that distinction. They have that professional separation, which is something that Michael Burnham has always kind of struggled with. That she wants to do, she wants to save everyone, and she wants to make everyone happy. And this is probably one of the first times we've seen her say, you know what? You're right. I am a Starfleet captain. I have other people that I have to protect, and you are allowed to make this choice because you are, your own person at this point.
Right.
So that is a really good point, and I loved that whole scene in the prison. I think the fact that we find out that all of them were just minor, incarcerations.
Yeah. Except him, and he was the one advocating and fighting for them. They were like kind of like, we don't know what to do, and he was just like insisting, no, they're not leaving until they get like like an actual like real chance at asylum, and this is wrong and everything. And the payoff was so great at the end of that. That whole storyline to me was just like pretty strong, because I think just like the not knowing that aspect of that character, and then like even just the performances like were very like, again, I hate to say it this way, but it's a shorthand to say something like in less words, which is very Star Trek. The whole thing of like, you're not cowering from me. Like when he confessed that he was a murderer, and he's like, you don't cower from me, and she's like, I'm not here to judge you. Like, it was like all those things, all those moments I thought were just like really spot on. I was disappointed with the revelation that the DMA is someone's behind it, like that there is something behind it. But my disappointment compared to the enjoyment of the rest of the episode was small, because like you Matt, I think I'm gonna give it a chance. I'm like, let's see. I'm not gonna like jump to any conclusions, you don't shrink for me, thanks Fathery. And that, I'm not gonna jump to any conclusions about the DMV, just the DMV. The DMA.
I will jump to a few conclusions about the DMV. I don't want to go. I don't want to do it.
To the DMA.
Things to do with 4 hours of my life.
It's true. But I am hopeful. That the payoff's gonna be good, because I had a lot invested in this natural occurrence thing, being like that the anomaly would be solved somehow and like explained through sciencing it out, sciencing the heck out of it. And I was almost ready to call this season the Star Trek 1 season, the Star Trek motion picture season, because it wouldn't have a villain, like, which would have been really cool. Like it wouldn't have had an actual centralized villain, but it looks like we are gonna get one, so we'll see. I already have some theories that I'm not going to try to entertain too hard. We'll see what happens next episode, but yeah.
I'm wondering if your theories are the same as what Paul told me too.
Ooh,
I'm not going to say.
We'll talk about it all. Yeah, we'll talk about it offline. Maybe we'll figure it out. So overall, what did you guys think of Ruan Tarka, the new character? And audience, I do see your comments. I'm sorry, I'm just like super into what these guys are saying. So I'll get to your comments.
I loved
soon.
him. And I'm gonna have to run here in a minute, but I just want to say,
okay.
I loved him. I'm sorry. I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's good that you're on.
I thought he was a great villain. But he also wasn't a villain. He was like that anti-hero type.
He's the shady character, right? He's like the gray character. Like, we don't really know what he's up to, or
exactly. I loved that he was Rycian. I love that we get the Rycians back. That they're more than just for hire prostitutes constantly, which is all we ever hear Risa be.
How did you feel about how
Um,
he talked about Risa, how he was kind of resentful of it? Like he was just like considered himself kind of like an anomaly on Risa. He's kind of like saying like that they're all like they are actually like all like
Whores,
just
yeah.
whores on Risa.
I loved it. It's
That's
like
awesome.
if you're seeing someone. First of all, we know that Risa is still around. That's a fun thing.
Yeah.
And to me, it was one of those things where it was that outcast moment where it's this massively intelligent figure in this society that takes him for granted because he doesn't fit what they are. And it's kind of up on its end with our society that we think that, like, the very intelligent scientists and everything are at the top of society. They're whatever. And, you know, us whores are just on the bottom of society. And now it's like Risa was always the opposite, where they have a hyper intelligent person that wants to, experiment and do all these things. And all of a sudden it's like, just that's not pleasurable to anyone else. Just shut up and go do your thing. And then he apparently goes with the Emerald Chain, and the Stamets once again just reaffirms that I don't think he should ever be speaking to anyone but the person directly above him. Anthony Rapp is fantastic. I love him as an actor. Not in Star Trek.
I did like to see the character. I know you have to go, but I did like to see the character kind of get his panties in a twist at first. No offense intended to people who love panties, but, but how he's like in a.
It's not comfortable if they're in a twist.
So. He's like all in a tizzy, and then all of a sudden he ends up being like such a stand for the guy. Like he's just like all fawning for Ruan and stuff like that. It was really funny. Matt, before you go, we'd like to get like just a snapshot of your rating for this episode, and then could you show off your cool uniform too? That's from Star Trek Picard, isn't it?
Yeah, this is just a Picard uniform.
Oh my gosh, yes. Hold on, I gotta put you full screen. I'm sorry. Here you go. Whoa. It looks good.
I got that. It's not.
What is that, ensign? Fine. Are you an ensign in this one? Is that like one pip, right? Oh, is that no? That's what is that? A Commodore? Is that?
There we go.
Okay, thank you.
I'm always the same rank. I've chosen the same rank. It displays itself in different ways thanks to. And I'm just like Q was, or whatever her name was, because it was always crooked. I would give this a solid 6.2.
Okay.
It was fine. I liked it. We got the USS Janeway. Actually, yes. I'll give it a 7.6 because
for the Janeway.
Although I still don't know which one was the US. You would think the USS Janeway would be like
the Connie
Intrepid class.
Well, yeah, that's what I would think too. But I think it's the Marcelo, what do you think? Was the Constitution class one the Janeway,
or was it the Eisenberg class?
I'm not much of a ship guy, so if I just had to purely guess, I would go with the Eisenberg class.
Okay, that would be.
I could see that because it was more scientific. I would be fine either way. I'm happy we got the T'Pau.
The T'Pau as well, ship. And an update on Vulcan ships to finally. What's that?
Is that supposed to be a reference to T'Pol?
T'Pau.
I think it was
T'Pau from
Lower Decks.
No. T'Pau. T'Pau is the Vulcan.
From Amok Time.
Right, and Enterprise. Right,
Enterprise,
and Enterprise.
Right,
so we see T'Pau. Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, that was named after her. Yeah, that was a cool moment. Although I wished we'd just seen them a little better. There's like a quick shot, and then it zooms right out, and it's like
they're this big. Admittedly, okay, it's a giant anomaly.
Right.
But I wanted to like do a deep sweep through them, and then we like pull out.
That whole scene gave me.
Ship porn.
No, it's true. That scene gave me Kelvin vibes. I wish we actually, how like in the 2009 film, like how the USS Kelvin appears on screen. It's just so beautiful, and you hear the buoys and like all the it was cool. Which all right, cool.
I would have loved it. Yeah. All right, I love you guys.
I love you too. Thank you.
I will talk to you guys later.
See you.
Bye,
Thanks so
everyone. I'm
much for
sorry I
coming
can't
on.
stay.
No, but it's
Yeah.
great that you came on. Thank you,
Bye.
thank you, thank you. It's like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. We have people come in and out. It's totally how it is. So let's go to the audience and answer some questions. We have Beetle Palm number 47. I love that.
Beetle Palm number 47.
I'm prepared to be disappointed with the who is controlling the DMA. Yeah, I don't know. That's the one part of the series so far. I guess though, I've never really been happy with the big kind of like bads of Discovery so far. Like the Red Angel was pretty cool. I think this one still has a lot of potential. It's still a very cool anomaly. What do you think, Marcelo?
I had issues with the Red Angel story because I thought that that particular season was a little bit overstuffed. I would have much rather preferred if they would have focused solely on the Red Angel and the search for Michael Burnham's mother instead of trying to do. Wait a minute, I'm mixing. Wait, no, I'm not mixing up a season. No, instead of trying to do the Red Angel story with the Control story at the same time, right? I'm right, right? Yes. So, but again, you guys know me. I am a Alex Kurtzman guy. So, when it comes to Discovery, there are points that I will criticize the hell out of the show, but I am a little bit more forgiving than your general Star Trek fan online because uh, I'm such a super fan of the guy who creates the whole thing.
Yeah, I think that the show is really getting it right, and it seems like they do these things, they drop these little moments that like make things that I thought were mistakes, and maybe they were mistakes or things that I just didn't think fit before, somehow work better. So I think the show, as it continues, as they're like now in their stride, if you will, now they're like, oh, let's go back and this little thing that everyone was wondering about, let's like fill them in on it. So like, for example, like I think it was unclear what happened. Like, you remember the mycelial network? Like every time the ship would jump, it would
Jump,
affect
yeah.
the network, and then the Giuseppe, the characters that were Tilly's friends, that and the people that brought Hugh back to life. So like the whole thing was like, I didn't think it was very clear why they kept jumping after they knew that was harming the Giuseppe. And in this episode, in what you would consider, I guess, a throwaway line, Stamets mentions, "Oh yeah, and I also gave his team, like the way not to harm the Giuseppe when you travel, like things like that." So it's like, oh yeah, so something that like I had assumed they had worked a thing out, because I couldn't imagine morally that they would be cool with like traveling through the network, so casually and cavalierly if they knew they were hurting the Giuseppe. But it was nice to hear it said on screen by one of the characters that like, and things like that.
The other thing that I really enjoyed was a really small moment when the alien chancellor guy came on the bridge and tried to get Burnham to put all of the prisoners in the brig. I love the fact that Burnham pointed out to him that he is, for all intents and purposes, a refugee now because the station where he was a chancellor basically blew up. So
Yeah,
I love the fact that
the colony or
Burnham,
whatever. Yeah,
the colony, I love the fact that Burnham sort of put him in
in
his
his place.
place
Yeah, that was
and
very
took,
satisfying.
yeah, and she took charge and she said, "No, listen, you're on my ship, and if you're on my ship, you're going to follow Federation rule. If you got a problem with that, there's the door." So I just love when Michael Burnham shows moments of absolute power and badassness. And I thought that particular moment really sung for me for a particular reason. Also, I loved seeing Mr. Saru in command, and I loved the entire sequence with him watching over Stamets and the other gentleman, I can't remember his name, creates basically a mock-up of the anomaly in engineering. I thought that
Yeah, that was a
was yeah,
cool like
yeah,
science moment. Yeah, I agree. And the
yeah.
fact there was this like tiny little micro version of it, and it almost could have destroyed the Discovery, was a pretty cool kind of way to illustrate the power of the actual anomaly, which was cool.
Yeah, no, but I'm having like a myriad of emotions as I go through these episodes, because there are some episodes where I want to really I'm really disappointed with Michael's characterization, but there are other episodes where I go, yes, this is the Michael that I've wanted for such a long time. Why can't she be no, why can't the writers be a little bit more consistent? Because for me, more than other seasons, I've been really enjoying this season for a particular reason, and I can't figure out why. Although it's kind of simple, don't you think? I should be able to figure out why at this point.
I think that for me, I mean, I feel the same way. I think everyone has probably a different reason for enjoying the season, and I've noticed even folks that don't vibe with Discovery, but have stuck with it, are liking this season a lot better. And it's just, I think, like the show is truly, coming into its own. Like, I think it took it a while to get here, and it seems like every show has its ups and downs. Not There's very few shows that just start out and they're like perfect from the start, if you will, for lack of a better choice of words. But but I think Discovery season 4 is its strongest season. And on top of that, I think, like you said something about this earlier, but all the actors are just giving their best performances so far. Like, I think they really know their characters, and they really like are tuned into them, and so like, on top of the normal stuff that I would enjoy, like, things that I felt were maybe missing from previous iterations or seasons, if you will, of Star Trek Discovery. What's here is, like, you have the strong performances. There's a lot more techno babble and sciencey stuff, and I know, like, that's not the most important thing, but it just adds like a layer of texture, or a texture that like feels familiar to me, and also enjoyable, because that technobabble oftentimes is based on some kind of real scientific theory, or like some kind of concept, that is a real or possible concept. And so it's very like, cool to be like, oh, are they talking about this aspect of physics or that or whatever, like, it sparks the imagination. But then on top of that, the series just like feels the pacing's a lot better overall. Like, they're taking more time with shots in general. This AR wall is helping. I mean, like, that planet landscape was not planet, but the asteroids landscape was insane. And then the fact that, like, we didn't talk about this, but I feel like that was an homage to Star Trek animated series episode with that ship that they found, that was like, a cluster of ships that were like a colony, if you will, and it looked a lot like this structure. So I was very pleased with that, because that was like, I felt like that was like a nod to the animated series, and so that was pretty cool. Joel on Valisok says book has post Quajon clarity. Yeah, I think like that moment where Book was struggling to let Felix have his agency was, yeah, like, I agreed with Michael, like, like, he should decide what to do, with his like person. But I think that moment, like, Book was making the case, he's like, he's tired, he's like, he's not thinking with his like mind, all of that was because Book is just like desperate to save people from this anomaly destroyed his homeworld, and he doesn't want to see anyone else die. And so, like, I guess he started to like Felix, and he was like really like, starting to think of him as a person that deserved, to continue. And so that's where it was coming from. And I just really thought that was a great scene, and it made sense. And like, I like how the trauma is lingering, but the way David Ajala is portraying it, to me, feels so natural. Like, he goes in and out of these moments, but it's never gone. Like, he doesn't, when he's happy again and he's like having his banter with Michael, the sadness is, it's still, there's still this like thing, and it's all in his like his facial expressions, and just his eyes. Like, his eyes are so expressive of his emotions, and you can see they almost look watery all the time a little bit, or just tired in general. I think those are all things that like contribute to that overall sadness, for me.
Yeah, he definitely has this aura of sadness about him, even when he's being, like you just said, all playful and all happy-go-lucky with Burnham. You could see the sort of hint of sadness behind his eyes, in most specific scenes. The thing that I really liked, I liked a lot of stuff about this episode, but one of the things that made me so happy, and I don't believe that I've talked about this on the show yet this season in our run of reviews for Star Trek Discovery. I really like that Adira and Gray were nowhere to be found in this episode.
Oh yeah, you're not vibing with them, right? Or are
I
you?
yes, I do. I look. I have nothing against the uh, the actors who play Adira and Gray respectively, but I do not like them as characters. I I don't know. I don't know. So I was so. I mean, forgive me if you like them. Um, I
Your opinion of those characters doesn't make any difference
yeah, I
to.
know.
You don't need to apologize. It's
I
fine.
know. I know. But come on. I'm polite. You know me.
Yeah, yeah, you're
Um,
okay. It's
Yeah. So I really like the fact that we got to take a break from those characters because I really couldn't understand why the writers chose to give so much time to uh, two characters that just joined the show recently, and they didn't give attention to people that have been there from the very beginning. Vis-a-vis, I'm going to say it again, the bridge crew. Like, why give? Yeah, but that's an issue that I have with the writing of the show. But I just love the fact that Gray and Adira were nowhere to be seen in this episode.
For me, that was definitely an issue, and sometimes it still crops up because I desperately want to know more about the characters. And actually, in the audience, we have Beetlebomb number 47 saying like, "Are Oo and Detmer still on the show?" Yeah, I mean, like it is
No,
tough. I think it's tough to balance out who you're gonna highlight and so on and so forth. I think in some ways, like we had Tilly, who's like I think it's interesting that we had Tilly, who's like a main character, left the show, and then we get introduced to this guy scientist now, and I think he's kind of like, so it's like the show's kind of like we can't focus on too many people at once, so let's take a break from certain characters, and shows have always kind of done that. Like if you really go back, like it'd be interesting if TNG aired during a time like this of like instant reactions from Twitter and YouTube, because hella for sure people would be complaining and saying things like Dr. Crusher's not on the show enough, which I agree with. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm totally a Dr. Crusher stan. But you're right, to the degree that we don't know anything about the bridge crew, it is unusual. It's not something we're used to as
Star Trek fans.
yeah, Star Trek fans. So it's something new, but I trust the writers at this point because time and time again, things that I thought were like misjudgments or like things that I was not pleased with, like they end up like doing something where I'm like, oh, I was wrong. They were thinking about that, or they're writing the show very cleverly from the hilt because they're looking at reactions and they're like, oh yeah, like look, this is like something we should focus on. And so in a way, the show's like extraordinary in and of itself in that way because it's really truly being formed in a sense to the reaction of the audience to a degree. I hope not too much, but I think that's I think that's like not an unfair thing to do these days, you know what I mean? Like where you do have so much critical response to a TV series like right away, like at your fingertips, like you've never had, in previous times.
No, but to go off your point even further, when Tilly left the show, presumably to go teach at Starfleet Academy, like I read no articles in advance, or I haven't read an article saying that Mary Wiseman left the show. So I have no idea if it's just a story point or she did indeed leave the show.
Oh,
Um,
so if you watch the Ready Room, she hasn't left the show. She's just kind of taking a back seat, and I think that's interesting, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of like with Saru, what's happened with Saru a little bit, although he's very present this season. Beetlebomb 47 also wants to know who is Kovich and why is he so damn smart? Yeah, Kovich is a mystery character. He's doctor. He's a doctor as well. He's Dr. Kovich. So,
yeah,
um,
I'm telling you, there's something squirrely about that guy. I'm telling you. Look, I mean, look. I'm probably 100% wrong. I mean, Michelle Paradise and Alex are probably playing me for a fool, but I bet you there's something not right about that guy.
It's Kovich. He's behind the anomaly. PJ says, I like how Book doesn't want to turn his back on the guy. Noble if misguided. And then let's see. He has glasses that are 10 plus 10 TTO INT. I think that's a Dungeons and Dragons reference, but I'm not 100% sure.
I'm not.
Um,
I'm not a D&D guy, so I don't know.
I like how they acknowledge that Culber has survivor's guilt about his own death. Yeah, that was an interesting take on Culber's kind of like angst, because I was starting to get a little bit like perturbed by it, but when Kovich put it that way, like it kind of like clarified his perspective for me. And it is true, you do have to protect your energy levels to be able to give to others, and he's kind of starting to deplete them. He's going into his reserves now. And the other thing I really liked, I feel like we haven't gotten a moment between Culber and Stamets, between Paul and Hugh, like we did in this episode at the end. We haven't really gotten that in a while, and it was very nice to see it, like them having the pillow talk and like just like being sweet to each other and like, you know, all that stuff. I thought it felt like, again, like another reward to get that back, to have that moment.
That was so welcome and so I mean I loved it. It was like old school Discovery. It was like Discovery season 1. I mean, to see them have those small moments together in their quarters and come together at the end of the day and sort of, chat with each other over what they've done over the course of the day was just wonderful. It really, really was phenomenal. As an introverted person, I've already said this on the stream tonight, but I really identified with Kober's struggles and his need to sort of give as much as he can to everyone, but to give so much that he's running out of personal energy. So it feels like to me, like I already said it. It feels like to me that he is a bit of an introvert in this new version of himself, because introverted people, they give and they give and they give and they give, but they reach a point where they go, okay, guys, I have nothing more to give, and I need to just take a step back, because if I don't take a step back, I'm going to lose my mind, which isn't going to be good for anybody.
Right, and you could
So
see he was losing it. He's starting to crack at the
yeah,
seams and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. So I really appreciated the way that Culber's story was crafted by the writer of this episode. I really, really, really liked it so much.
I hope all the reference people do catch on to this as well. I thought the same thing, Joel. I like the Close Encounters mashed potato scene, the UHF mashed potato scene, and that was I thought it was like an kind of a nod to that as well. What did you think, Marcelo?
I didn't catch that at all,
With the
and
mash, when he's like
no,
shaping the potatoes
no,
to
no,
illustrate,
I didn't
like,
get it.
oh, okay. I
No,
don't, it
but
wasn't quite the same, but it had like a vibe. I don't know, I feel like it had the same vibe.
no, but hearing that comment from our viewer, I was like, holy shit, he did pull Richard Dreyfuss in
He
Close
did, it's
Encounters with
true.
the mashed potatoes. I mean, good call. I mean, I didn't uh, specifically think about that in that moment. I thought that he was just being dickish. But good call, good catch.
This was interesting. We've been getting a lot of information about the Emerald Chain this series, and kind of like repercussions, more like, actually I feel like we're getting more about the Emerald Chain than when Osira was still alive, like, you know what I mean, like, although we saw in practice like how ruthless she was, like, it is interesting. So this particular society, who used to be ruled by the Emerald Chain or under Emerald Chain jurisdiction, was quick to throw people away based on minor infractions. That reminded me of that planet.
The TNG episode,
Yeah, the
right?
Edo, how they,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
like
Edo, yeah.
they, yeah, how like they just have, if, they had quite a different spin on it, where it was like any crime committed in a zone. Otherwise, I guess you could commit crimes if it's not in that zone or whatever. But any crime at all committed, like whether it's like, not filling out like your library card, or like, whatever it is, the sentence is death. So like you have to be very like,
Jesus.
yeah, like, could you imagine? Like, so we know Wesley just fell into the plants, and that's the same thing here. Is like the magistrate had no problem, like, making examples, quote unquote, out of these people. And it truly, when you find out that, like, some of them did like crimes that should have been like punished, but like punished like in proportion to the crime. But instead, excuse me, instead we're suffering, this like capital punishment for it, basically.
They
Or
should have got fined,
yeah, they
not
just got fined.
not
Yeah, like a fine
not
will do
death
the job. Yeah,
sentences.
it's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
or a ticket
So
or a space ticket.
that was to me like another example of how like kind of abhorrent the post burn Emerald Chain was. And it is sad to see that like the Orions kind of like that's what they resorted to kind of like maintain their supremacy. And also I think they thought they were doing the right thing, like in a way. Like Osiris seems to justify her cruelty um by by saying how how like it's for the greater good or whatever, but a lot that is usually not always the case when that stuff's happening.
But the thing about Osira is that Admiral Vance gave her a way out, and it was her self pride that stopped her from really giving her people what they wanted all along. Because Osira was willing to play ball until Admiral Vance said, "Okay, if you sign this, basically Starfleet and the Emerald Chain will come together, but I need a fall person. I need somebody to pay for all the crimes that you've committed, and I need it to be you." And I think that was the point where Osira went, "No, I am too self righteous, and what I did was perfectly right in the circumstances, and I feel that I don't need to pay for it." I mean, I don't know what our audience thinks, but I think that that was Osira's main mistake in her negotiations with Admiral Vance, that she wasn't willing to admit, or she wasn't willing to pay for her sins, basically.
Right on. Yeah,
Sorry to,
very well
yeah,
said.
sorry to go
No, it
on
was a good,
that
that was
tangent,
good.
but
I did like that we got mention of Aurelio. I'm sad that we didn't get to see him. That's Ken Mitchell's character, Kenneth Mitchell's character. But it was nice to see him referenced a lot in this episode, and just a lot of the things you were saying were spot on, I think. What else do we got here in the comments? Let's see. Um, uh, Beetlebomb 47 says the season arcs are always a disappointment to them. Talk a walk. Talk a walk, Chancellor. Take a walk, Chancellor. A spacewalk without a suit. Yeah, that Chancellor character. Thanks, Father. He's clearing up. Spore jumps didn't harm the Jassip. The damage to the mycelial network was caused by Kullberg's presence in it. When they brought him back from the network, the damage stopped. It wasn't explained clearly. I feel like, yeah, that makes sense now that you're saying it.
he looks better without a beard. Sorry,
What's that?
Father looks better without the beard. Sorry, I'm focusing on the wrong thing here.
Oh,
But
wow.
as you were reading, I was looking.
I feel
at
like Father has a beard
this
in that
photo.
picture. I think
No,
he
but
still has a beard in that
No,
picture.
but it's like a
It's just shorter, yeah.
But it's like a 5 o'clock shadow sort of deal. It's not it's not like he has it now. Sorry for commenting, but
Joel said, no, you're totally fine. Joel says, maybe do wormhole experiments at Starfleet HQ, not a ship doing rescue ops. That's a good point, but I think they wanted to. I think since the anomaly was right there, like they were hoping to get like enough telemetry to do something about it in that moment. But yeah, I think they are going to continue the experiment. Well, we'll see what happens. We're next episode. Let's see how howdy stress free K's here. This is going to be a big issue for Book because he is all about life, and Michael messed up, not insisting that the Federation asylum officials decided what happens to the killer. I don't think she messed up at all. Yeah, I agree with that too. I love Tilly, but Stamets, Adira, and Tilly. How many science officers does the ship need? Well, it is a science vessel, technically, right? Like, yeah, so probably more science officers than your regular crew complement. Let's see here. Oh, well, maybe it used to be. Discovery used to be a science ship, so Infinity Science Officers was in order. Kovich is interesting. Yeah, I think Kovich can see multiple universes simultaneously. He's got something going on. I wonder how they're going to flesh out his character. He's a very interesting character. I liked his bluntness. I liked how he was just straight to the point, and he does have that like insane intelligence to him. And oh, thanks for Joel letting us know that was a D&D reference, but with a couple of typos in there. I think I got caught up. Oh wow, there's so many comments. I'm so sorry we can't always get to all the comments. Marcelo, we're coming up to the end of the stream, but I guess the only thing did we talk about? Let's see. The only thing we haven't talked about yet is Reno. Jet Reno is back. What did you think of the return of Jet Reno and Tig Notaro?
It was really cool to see Tig back on the show. I always think her real name, Tig Notaro, is more of a Star Trek name than her character name.
Oh, what is her real name?
Yeah, it's Tig Notaro.
Oh, her real name. Sorry. Oh, then Jet Reno. Although Jet Reno's a cool name too. I like that name.
Yeah, but I like Tig Notaro as a Star Trek name personally. But it was so nice to see her back again. It was really, really nice. I know that she wasn't there at the first part of the season because of health concerns with all the COVID thing going on. And that got me wondering, did you notice that Detmer and Woshikin weren't in this episode? I have a theory. I believe now, I admit that this theory is coming way out of my butt. It may not be the
best theories come from there.
Yes, the best theories come from there. Maybe they weren't in this episode because maybe they were, when they filmed this episode, the two actors weren't there yet. Or, maybe they were going through some COVID protocol sort of thing.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, COVID definitely affects the production 100%. Like, even like there's scenes where people are just standing, far apart from each other. But yeah, right. I think they like have a limit to how many people. In general, also the budget affects that. Like Star Trek TNG used to do that, where you would have like an episode with like Picard wasn't in it at all. Like sometimes they'll like they'll give the actors like an episode off so that they could like spend that budget on a guest star or someone else. So that could be it.
But I would beg to differ in just that TNG, especially from season 3 on, was sort of built by Michael Piller in that way. He sort of built the show in such a way where he said, okay, this week we're going to focus on this person. Next week we're going to focus on this person. And the week after that, we're going to focus on all of our people. So I don't think Star Trek Discovery is necessarily designed to have specific characters go in and walk out. So it's very, very odd that Detmer and Woshikin would have been missing from this episode. It's very, very odd to me because Discovery wasn't built for like the TNG model from back in the day. I don't know.
I'll have to think about that one. That's really interesting. What did you think of the whole story of the Lalogi or Lalagi orb, the family tree orb, and I think that was satisfying too, to get the resolve to that, to see Burnham give this thing back on behalf of Felix to the family the survivor.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really cool. Especially I liked when she opened up the orb and it showed like this virtual tree and all the heads of her family members. I thought it was really cool, and I especially like the point where she used the orb to scan her face and add her own face to the tree.
To the tree, yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
I will say that, like, just this is totally a nitpick and it's not meant to be taken seriously. It doesn't knock any points off the episode, but I do find it funny that like this thing is so precious to these people and they don't have like backups. You can't like download a new one from the cloud or anything like that. What are you gonna?
Speaking of backups, this is my 1 terabyte hard drive, and I just backed up my computer today. So speaking of backups, here you go.
Public service announcement: back up your family trees so you don't lose them and lose your heritage when you lose your family orb.
It is very important to back up your data, people. Very important.
I was moved by the family tree orb. Genealogy is a hobby of mine. That's cool. I love genealogy too, Beetle Bomb 47, and that was like particularly touching. I know that Matt was talking about the crying, and I was saying earlier, like I think that like others have complained about this. Like I know last season, like, but like in all honesty, like I think the crying's good. It's a different it's a different kind of. I like that, like Captain Burnham isn't like stoic, like that, like things don't affect her. But I also don't think that like I think if we're going to compare her to anyone, it's usually to Kirk, back to Kirk, because Kirk was the most kind of like from the gut, like emotional kind of captain. Like especially
No, but
early on, he was a little bit more
mm,
emotional than later on when he was a little bit more stoic, I guess.
yeah, but I mean, I'm gonna disagree with you there just a little bit. I'm not a Kirk guy, you know this. Picard is my guy. But the thing about Kirk that I didn't particularly like from the original series is that he was always, fight first and ask questions later. That's why I liked him as he got older and as he sort of matured in my mind as a captain. When he started to slow down and when we started to see his maturation in the original series movies, I liked him a lot more when he was older and he was a little bit more tempered down.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
know. I don't know if I like both Kirk
versions.
versions of Kirk
Okay.
a lot, only because of recency bias. I've been watching the original series, as you know. We do a series on
Yeah.
them. By the way, I'm so sorry to disappoint everyone, but this Saturday we will not be doing. We'll have to postpone again. I really do apologize, but we have family friends that are in town, and it's kind of a surprise. And so we haven't seen, like many, we haven't seen some folks in like over 2 years because of the pandemic. So I'm gonna
They don't watch the stream, do they? Because if they watch the stream, the surprise is over.
no, it was a surprise like that just occurred like to me. Like I didn't know they were
Oh,
gonna be
oh, okay,
in
okay,
town.
sorry.
So yeah, I'm gonna be doing that. So that's why I was planning on having our TOS stream this Saturday, but we're gonna have to postpone it one more. Oh no, beautiful. I'll do a personal chat just for you.
Mhm.
I'm so sorry. I don't know. We'll see if I can pull something together. Maybe there'll be a recorded something on Saturday. We'll try our best. Um, but yeah, I don't know which Kirk I prefer. I definitely think that if I were pressed on it, I would choose the motion, the film version
Version.
of Kirk. I think yeah, he is the ultimate, evolution of the character.
But I like him quite a bit in uh, in the motion picture because in the motion picture he just recently got his ship back, and the way that he is sort of pushing his crew and the way that he is sort of pushing Commander Decker aside and trying to assert power over the crew and how he thinks that the situation should be handled, which is a little aside, but I like um, I like that iteration of Kirk quite a bit.
Right on. Any final thoughts on this episode of Star Trek Discovery before we head off for the night?
I really liked it. I've liked this season a whole lot more than I was expecting to. There's a lot of things that drive me crazy about this season, but there's a lot of things to love, and I thought this episode was really really great. It was awesome.
So, what would you give it as a rating on a 10-point scale?
Yeah, I would give it a 9, a 9
Nice.
out of 10.
Very cool. Well, true to my word of placing it so high on a pedestal of Discovery, I'm going to give this episode an 11. I was trying not to give any more tens until like later in the season, but
You always cheat.
I was so, I was so moved.
Anyway, it's your show.
I know. Captain's prerogative, Marcelo.
Yeah, yeah. Shut up, Marcelo.
No, I would never tell you that. But I was just so chuffed about this episode. Like I watched it twice and I thought like for sure, I definitely noticed some things that were like, I think earlier it was pointed out and Paul pointed this out to me, but like if you pay attention, you really do notice that Tig Notaro's not there, like with the other, like filming. It's like they always cut away to her, and things like that. But again, those are just like minor detractions. I don't think that they really, they really like, take away from the overall enjoyment of the episode. And so yeah, this was like an 11 for me. I don't know. I'm like really vibing with this episode. Like it got me thinking it. I was thinking about it the whole day. I was thinking about it in the shower. The only time I wasn't thinking about it is when I went to see Spider-Man No Way Home, and that's all I'll say about that. And so then I started thinking about it now again as soon as I got out of the movie. So this is a really good episode in my opinion, and it's definitely going to be one of the ones that I'll go back and watch again and again, just because that story, it's so compelling, just to me. So Marcelo, thank you so much for joining me. Audience, thank you. Feel free to give your ratings while we're signing out. We have Stress Free K says, thanks as always, SFB and Marcelo and Matt. Always so wonderful discussing these great episodes. Thanks to Matt, if you're still listening to this, for coming on the show. I hope you're enjoying your taco. Did you say taco pizza?
Yeah, that sounds
Taco pizza. Yeah, it sounds cool.
That sounds like a little much to me. Taco pizza.
Like, I think there's such a thing. Yeah, it sounds interesting.
Yeah, I recently got comfortable with having pineapple on my pizza.
Oh, that's a delicious combination. Pineapple and chicken, like really good.
Yeah.
Really good on pizza.
Yeah, I haven't tried pineapple and chicken.
I was a pizza purist, and then I remember first trying pineapple pizza and being like, okay, I can deal with this. This is not so bad. It's like actually, and especially if the pineapple's like seared just a little bit and it's like slightly blackened. So choice. Very good. All right, what do you have to promote this week, Marcelo?
Yeah, no, but if you guys want to check out my videos, my two podcasts, the two podcasts that I run, the best place to find everything that I do is on Twitter. I'm at CreekFanatic88. That's like my hub.
Absolutely. And you guys can check out Starfleet Boys streams here every Thursday. We cover whatever the latest and greatest episode of Star Trek is, because that seems to be the drop or release date that Paramount has chosen. So tune in next week to see episode 6 with us, and I mean to talk about episode 6 with us. Tomorrow is TQIF, hashtag TQIF, so go check out Text Trek stream. I'll be on there tomorrow, so I'm very excited. So if you want more Starfleet Boy, come on over and check it out. But it's a nice deep dive. We'll get into like, the brass tacks, the pins and needles. No, that's not it. The minutia, the little details, all those fun little things that we don't talk about too much on this show, because we're more of like a reaction / discussion. So we kind of go all over the place, which it gets taken used to, but some people enjoy it, right, Marcelo?
Yeah. I've never been. Well, I've been on one stream with Fathery, but Fathery, the way that he runs his ship is very, very. He really gets into the weeds with these episodes. We're kind of like, we're like two guys sitting in a bar talking about the episode. Father is like a person that is sitting at a winery drinking some wine talking about the episode.
It actually, I like that. You're like, yeah, it's a little more sophisticated, a little more refined. Everyone's sitting around. He's doing a presentation. Yeah, it's cool. It's kind of actually, I would love to see Fathery do his presentation in a winery with all of us sitting around and watching it. That sounds like a great idea. Fathery, you taking notes? I hope you are, if you're still listening. And then also tomorrow night, we're likely going to gather for Starfleet Boy After Dark. It's likely going to be a Spider-Man No Way Home stream. We'll see. I don't know if anyone else has really seen it. I think PJ's seen it. PJ and I might talk about it tonight. Stay tuned to the Twitters to see if that stream pops up at some point tonight, but it'll be filled with spoilers. Technically, Spider-Man doesn't come out till tomorrow, but some folks couldn't wait, like myself. I didn't want to like be subjected to any spoilers, so I went and saw it like as soon as I could. So we'll be doing that tomorrow, very likely. Lots to talk about there. And then Saturday we usually do our TOS streams, but we won't be doing it this week. Thank you so much, audience, for joining us. We have Stress Free K signing us out by saying, the right choice is rarely the easy one. So many great, yeah, it's true. There were a lot of great lines in this episode. Live long and prosper.